Alright, today we kickstart the 4th season of We Start Stronger campaign, courtesy of the good people at Metropolitan. My name is Tbo Touch, and I'll be taking you on a journey that is quite sensitive. We don't like to talk about it. We fear these conversations, but guess what? In the long run, they make us better. Hence, this series is for you. And we have to not just start strong, but we gotta finish strong too. And I'll be bringing you some amazing guests, financial experts who walk this journey. They know how to help you and I stop making those bad choices. My 2 guests will be hanging with me throughout the series, and of course we'll be unpacking the questions that you find hard and intimidating to tackle. The Touchdown 326 and the good friends of Metropolitan are here to make sure that 2024 we start stronger. Good afternoon, guys. How you doing?
Hi, Touch. Good. How are you?
Man, thank you for hanging out with me, and thank you for choosing the touchdown, because we need it most. How was your holiday season? You had a good time?
Rested a bit.
Yeah.
Went and visited family. I think that is one of the things that I look forward to December.
Fantastic. Brother, We Start Stronger campaign. Tell my friends and myself, what is it all about?
Thanks, Touch. We Start Stronger campaign is a campaign that we've been running for quite some time now with Metropolitan. Metropolitan has realized and recognized that most people make mistakes.
True.
And January.
I'm one of them.
And January is the time where we believe that together with your squad, your friends, and family, you can actually start stronger by getting advice, financial advice, psychological advice, and that's what we are all about. We Start Stronger is a campaign that we've been running for quite some time now. We've done print campaign, we've done even TV. This year we've gone to the airwaves through Touchdown.
Come on.
We Start Strong is essentially a program where we're saying every year there's challenges. People make New Year's resolutions and they hardly stick to them.
Oh, I'm one of them.
What we want to do is recognize and equip people with advice, financial advice, psychological advice, relating to how we can actually navigate this journey till the end of the year.
Our social patterns in December are not the same as Jan. And I understand why we're having this conversation with Metropolitan being here today. We go out more in December, and I feel like it's easy to tap that credit card. But come January, you can't be entertaining as you were. But what about those with peer pressure and still continue being Mr. Goody nice guy when you know it's tougher and the credit card is depleted? How do you deal with that? Because I struggle with the ability to say no. I find it hard to say no, and I think the reason why sometimes I deal with financial stress is because I say yes to what I should say no to.
Yeah. So, Touch, actually, you have answered the question.
Yeah.
So the answer lies in being able to have boundaries, right? And remember, most of the time when you talk about boundaries, we talk about boundaries as I have boundaries le Rapule.
Yeah.
And I leave boundaries le Tbo Touch. No, boundaries are actually meant for us. Right? And you are writing down and saying, you know what, I know normally I'm not in a good financial position, but I still put myself in this stress because, I don't want my friends to think like this. But you come back home and you're the one who has the most amount of stress. So you need to put down boundaries for yourself and say, you know what, I know I'm struggling right now and I want to fix my finances in 2024. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself a limit. My limit is X amount. If it's 500 Rand and you know that is 500 Rand and you don't go beyond that, and perhaps you even go and take it out, you withdraw it and you say, this is all I have.
You sound like an amazing textbook that I read in university. Yeah, it's tough. With my friends. Yeah. With my friends, it's tough.
But what's
just
tough? No, but you have to choose your battle.
I get you.
You have to choose your battles. Am I going to continue in this tough situation, not being able to say no to my friends, or am I going to say, you know what boundaries do I have?
Mapalo, you are spot on. I hear you, and I want to give you a glimpse of my life. Yesterday I was playing golf. The 19th hole is where you buy drinks, okay? When you hit the ball in the water, you owe the rest of the team drinks. There are things that you didn't even budget, like you never budgeted for, but you find yourself overspent, and it might not be golf for you while you're getting your nails done.
Yeah.
And you bump into your friends like, let's have a catch up. That catch up is cappuccino. It's something. It's an expense. It's lunch that you didn't plan. How do you I guess, maintain that strict discipline for the unforeseen miscellaneous costs.
So Touch, if you playing golf, great example by
Yeah.
the way. If you're playing golf and you are at the watering hole now, hole
Yeah.
number 19, and competitions and the things that have
Ish.
happened while you were playing, you
Yeah.
must also remember while you're playing, chances of you hitting a hole in one is there. So people get insurance for that, you know that, right?
Yeah.
But over and above that, you need to be that guy that says, my limit is this much, and outside of this, I am leaving. I've learned that a lot of us then stick around, and that's where we start thinking, do I have
Sure.
an extra $10?
Yeah.
Now,
But
okay.
that's
Then
where the
making
problem is.
adjustments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. There are parents who are struggling to even raise enough money for registration for university, let alone tuition. NEFSAS has applications after applications, and we know government is not going to subsidize every student that's deserving. To start strong, it means you got to get your foot in the door with your university, tuition cost, all of that. At what point do you think one should be more conscious of their spending during festive season to ensure that you've accumulated enough or you've saved enough?
What I've learned, and I thank my wife for that. So prior to your Christmas shopping and the likes,
Yeah.
what we start doing is, if you want to buy clothes for the kids,
Yeah.
you actually buy them there. If you want to do your school uniform, you actually buy those things prior to you spending. And most schools that I've seen,
I like that. School uniform before Christmas
big-
clothes.
And the
school
books,
uniform,
stationery
books,
also.
and,
Yeah.
and the likes before Christmas clothes. And then what we also see is there's a pattern now with even institutions of higher learning where you can actually deposit money upfront. You deposit money,
Yeah.
and then registration comes, they just debit from your account. So these are simple things that one can do, but very difficult because we want to be seen, right? With the trendy new hairdo. I saw many colors in December for kids and the likes. But those are the things that we've started doing. You pay, we call it paying it forward. You know it's going to
Yeah.
help you in jail.
My creditors, I can't avoid them forever. After 2-3 months, you start getting listed in ITC, it affects your credit. We know the credit market is shrinking in South Africa, hence people are renting more than buying or getting mortgages, right? What are the most amicable way to confront your creditors and be able to, and be honest with your reality without losing your property or assets?
The mistake that people make is they wait until you are getting the calls. What you should be doing as an individual, you call them first before the calls come in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know your financial situation better than anyone. And in that moment when you realize that, you know what, things are looking quite tight, you start calling them and saying, hey, can I make some sort of an arrangement for my bond, for my school fees, or whatever it is that you need to take care of. So if the onus is on you to call them before, and all the time, I promise you, people would rather have you pay them in bits and pieces than not to pay them at all.
I hear you.
Right?
That's
So
important.
really
We need to
do
preach
not
that
put
gospel.
your head in the sand and hope
Yeah.
that it goes away. The
It
first
won't.
thing is just make that call and say, this is what I'm going
I
through.
hear you.
Can you help me? And I believe you me, even the Credit Act, by law, they should help
Should
you.
help you.
Mm.
It's a legal requirement.
I want us to touch on
Yeah.
that later in the week because
Yeah.
these are the things that people need to know.
Yeah.
We don't know the Credit Act. We don't even research enough.
Yeah.
We just know how to hide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not a way to live
That's
and
not the
maintain
way to
good
live.
credit.
And on top of that, don't be ashamed to downgrade.
Yeah.
One of the biggest challenges that people are faced with is the Batho Batlaring syndrome.
Yeah.
The reality is, if I can afford that German machine parked outside,
Yeah.
I can take another German machine which is actually cheaper.
No, trust me, I'm the
Yeah.
king of downgrading. I've downgraded from 21-year whiskey to 15 years. But you spot on.
But
It's
also, I
pride.
think it's pride, but also one thing people forget about personal finance or money is that you're not going to be in this situation forever.
Yeah.
The longer you prolong the pain,
Amen. Preach to me.
you are not going to make
Come
it
on.
work.
Yeah.
Rather downgrade, work on your finances, know what you're doing, and you can always get back up. You can go back to your 30-year-old afterwards.
You, because I want to understand more about the role of Metropolitan in helping us and the rest of our listeners, the rest of our viewers out there, everybody who's struggling like I am. with the correct financial IQ?
Yeah, that's such an important question, Timos. Every single year, you
Yeah.
know this all too well. We
Yeah.
set either very audacious goals. This is the year I'm going to do this. And halfway through the year, you don't even look back at your goals.
Nope.
Right? So what Metropolitan is doing is saying, let's start with the mindset this time around. Most of the time, we start with the numbers. This is what you must be doing. But now we're saying, take a step back and say and reflect on why do I do the things I do with money. So that you can start saying, okay, you know what, I know my triggers, I know that, this is my downfall, and you start interrogating that. And once you do that, you're able to actually take the advice,
I like that. I like that.
down and say, you know what.
I want to know, what book would you recommend? Speaking of the mindset,
Yes.
do you guys have a specific book that can embellish my knowledge to develop that mindset? Because you nailed it when you speak about the mindset. But I struggle sometimes. And if I cannot win it psychologically, I'm not going to win it in my pocket. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Do you have any recommendations?
So-
Yeah.
I think she's more equipped for that.
Okay.
No, I'm going to plug myself. I have a book called You're Not Broke, You're Pre-Rich.
Oh,
Rich. And one of
okay.
the first things with is mindset. If you don't get your mindset right, you're going to struggle quite a lot. But one of the things that I do is ask questions. There's a questionnaire about how did you grow up, and how was money spoken of around your household. Men, growing up, all you hear about money, hey, how much I led?
Yeah.
That's as far as the conversation about money goes. So we ask you questions in there to find out, actually, what are your thoughts about money?
Sure.
Do you believe that you can be successful and you can be good at money?
Yeah.
And first thing you hear people say, I'm not good with money.
Yeah.
And already that tells you so much about that person. So definitely my book, but there's so many other resources. But I think you don't even have to buy a physical book.
Sure.
There are so many questions that can interrogate how you view money from, and they're free.
Part of the mindset, also what leads to it is the financial anxiety that we hardly talk about. And why is it important for you to understand that whole process and ensure that when you're dealing with such level of anxiety, you don't panic, but you always, find a way to refer to the right lessons, and this conversation, it could, mean something to someone out there, and they'll make reference of this dialogue on how best to make the right choices.
But the first thing that we need to understand is what is financial stress, what is financial anxiety.
Yeah.
And once you start understanding what it is, it's as simple as you saying, I have this amount of money.
Yeah.
Will I be able to pay off my debts at the end of the month? That creates anxiety.
Mm.
Most people get anxious over, especially now. I mean, you had students in your studio
Yes.
a few days ago.
Right.
People are stressing about
University.
University.
Hello.
So that is essentially what financial stress is about. But the one thing that you need to do is equip yourself in knowing how to deal with financial stress. And there are several lessons, and Mapalo, you'll share that information with us. But one of the things is identifying that problem and knowing what the problem is about.
I was in conversation with some of the team that, from Metropolitan, to say the bulk of our audience, as much as they enjoy these campaigns that we run on air, all these specials come around. I mean, let's look at November when you have the Black Fridays of this world. It's like we are conditioned to spend. And nobody's there at your corner when you are financially depleted. And I'd like to know if Metropolitan has some kind of financial rehabilitation programs to help people understand how to recover from bad choices. It'll be a good thing, even if you host it over 2-3 months, unless it's already there.
So thanks for that, Touch. What we have is actually financial education programs that we run throughout the year with employers, with individuals.
Okay.
But one of the most important things that we've learned is every person that you meet will tell you that they do a budget. Simple as that. I budget, I do this, but the most important thing is sticking to that budget. And I think that's where the problem comes. So
Do you stick to your budget? Because I don't. Be
I
honest
tried.
with me.
I tried.
We'll switch the mic off. Like, let's not be politically correct. Do you?
I
Mapalo?
tried. I tried.
I definitely try, and one of the things for me that has helped me is being truly and brutally honest with myself.
Okay.
I know I love eating out.
Yeah.
I know my spending habits, and
Yeah.
I make sure I know exactly what it is that I'm going to spend for that category.
Sure.
So most of the time, we don't stick to our budget because we're not really honest with ourselves. Oftentimes, people say to me, "Oh no, I do have a budget. I stick to it," or "I can't stick to it because things happen throughout the month." It's because like when you're on a diet, Touch. Have you ever been on a diet? And it's so strict.
Yes.
It's so strict.
Tell me about it.
That midnight you are there by the fridge opening
And the Oreos are
cookies.
calling.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you did not input the fact that I don't want to put into my diet a cheat meal once in a while.
Yeah.
So oftentimes we do that. But talking about anxiety, Rapule, I just want to go back to what you said, is that we need to identify the problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? And you mentioned that there is so much consumerism. Most of the time, we don't identify the problem. People say, "Oh my gosh, things are so tough, but you have not actually identified the problem. What is the problem? Is the problem that I don't have a lot of money going, to cover my expenses?
That's always a problem.
Right? Or am I the problem? Touch.
Mm.
Right? So identify the problem, then you can find a better solution. If you are making just a blanket statement that I have a problem or money is an issue,
Yeah.
you actually haven't identified
like
the
that.
problem, and therefore you will not get the right solution to that problem.
I
Identify
like
the
that.
problem, and therefore you will not get the right solution to that problem.
I like that. But Rapule, you said something about the program that Metropolitan has for staff, consumers. Is this just limited to those who are in the Metropolitan universe, or an ordinary potential customer, anybody who's not part of a Metropolitan customer, can they also benefit from that program?
Definitely. Let's say the SABC,
Yeah.
through the occupational health and safety guys and
Nice.
employee wellness programs, we actually partner with you to actually share, tips, learnings,
Okay.
through a segmented or pillared approach. So you'll have a session where we're dealing with credit, good and bad credit. We'll
Yeah.
have a session that deals with, and by the way, Touch, all of these programs are not necessarily meant for you to buy. It's to impart
For you to know.
information.
No, I get that. And I guess that'll help with the next question, because I found myself at some point struggling with financial stress. How important is it to identify it?
Personally, I think that's one of the most important things. And there are things that you can do to identify whether you are under financial stress or distress. The challenge that people do is, you just mentioned it earlier on. People don't necessarily delve deeper and say, what is this problem? So the fact that you can't afford to pay your bills at the end of the month is one aspect of it. The second one is you actually get chest pains when you're thinking of pay, you aches and pains. And the last one will be as simple as you continuously know that you have to go borrow money to survive. And that's where you know that things are really tough.
Rapule, what about ducking and diving calls? Because there are people who
Yeah.
come month end, they do
And now
not
this
answer
call
their
center,
phone.
the call centers have become smart, guys. They don't longer call you from 011.
No.
They dial you from cell phone number.
06
So
number.
you gotta pick up that number.
You gotta pick up that number. And ducking and diving doesn't help because it just delays the program, right?
Right.
So sometimes the truth of the matter is, if you take up that call and you explain that you are under financial distress, you actually have, many creditors have programs that you can fall into. They can delay your payment with 1 month or so. Even Metropolitan, they are, you can take a breather. We know in December other people don't necessarily pay their installments, and we call it a payment holiday. So those are things that are there, but you've been ducking and diving calls, so you won't get to know about those type of things.
Absolutely.
I'm hoping post this conversation we are able to take nuggets of what to do, what not to do. Try not to be hard on ourselves, but I can trust that a brand that's been strong and dominating for over 125 years will bring us credible information to make sure that all of us, we start strong, sustain a good year, and finish strong. I want to thank you for being part of this dialogue, and I look forward to tomorrow's topic. And let's make sure we get South Africa stronger.
Thank you very much for having us, Touch.
Thank you so much, Touch.
Thank you.